To summarize Eminence Hill, the story, what it's actually about, is a young woman, a young girl, woman, a teenager, is kidnapped by a group of notorious outlaws as they're on a bloody trail of revenge, seeking to essentially eliminate all of the members of a jury that found the leader of the gang's brother guilty of murder and hence executed him. The young girl is kidnapped and she is basically in a really bad situation. Introduce our lawman, his name is Quincy, recruits our tracker named Carson to find and hopefully rescue this young woman. From the outset, Quincy appears to be the good guy, but nothing in Eminence Hill is as it seems. The script is called Eminence Hill because of the town where everybody ends up meeting up. The town is run by a group of Puritans, a group of fundamentalist religious people that believe much in the way that Noah did before he built the ark, or I guess what caused him to build the ark, according to myth, that the world is essentially a damned place and beyond saving. And these ladies and gentlemen basically have created what they consider their own paradise. But of course, they try to enforce what could be considered biblical Old Testament justice and Old Testament law. So as you can imagine, when you introduce elements of a renegade band of cutthroat outlaws, they might not be received all that warmly, and there's definitely going to be sparks that are going to fly.
My name is Dominique Swain, and I play Gretchen. Gretchen is the single woman in a four-man posse. She is intensely loyal and equally as intensely ruthless. I was a little bit surprised that other people interpreted her as a bad character, because I think that she's just desperate and has, grown up with a sense of survival, and your morality is, reflected in how you were raised, but also in what you need to actually succeed and be alive.
My name is Clint James. I am playing the character of Royce, one of the main villains in this new film called Eminence Hill, written and directed by Robert Conway. Robert and I go back about 12 years. Our first film was Redemption, which was a Western, and this is going to be Robert's first Western since then.
Go tend to your chores, Ruth.
Do no such thing. Though I regret this not being a tale such innocent ears should hear.
So Ruth is the young girl in the film. She's been raised on a farm with her mother and her father till one day these outlaws come in and basically take her. She kind of has to find herself and, become her stronger so she can get out of situations, and it just kind of follows her journey and the people she meets along the way.
Well, I had never done a film in the Western genre, so that was very interesting to me to see how Westerns were made and to feel a whole vibe of something like that. And also the character of Sister Abigail, she thinks she is doing good, but yeah, sometimes the results might not be so aligned with what she thinks she's doing.
Trespasser!
I'm BRINKE Stevens, and I play Wilhelmina in Eminence Hill. She's a pioneer woman who's skilled at poisoning and helps defend her town from an assault by vicious outlaws.
Action.
How can you not get amped up about being a part of a Western? It's a rite of passage as far as I'm concerned, being an actor, and that really got me excited about it. But the second I read the script, you knew it was something special and it was a story that needed to be told. And I was just fortunate that I got to be a part of it.
You know, for a man who once rode with the most vile outlaw in the territory, you seem curiously judgmental.
I've done my share of bloodletting, just never took to it the way men like you have. You find that amusing?
There are no men like me, Mr. Garrett. I always saw Quincy as this sort of Greek tragedy character, to get a little pretentious. What makes Quincy special, what makes him exceptional, is this, not just his expertise with a gun, but it's his ability to kill somebody and move on. His ability to manage murder. And this exceptional quality of his, it's ultimately a curse for him. And it's ultimately what alienates him from his fellow man. Hope you enjoyed yourself, Mr. Garrett.
Little romp in the bush might ease some of that tension you're holding on to. You know, a lot of people start out as a hero. Carson, he's kind of a derelict and trying to salvage something of his life. And it's unusual that what brings him into being having a little redemption is an outlaw killer.
You gonna square me, Garrett?
Well, that's just the cat's paw. He's enlisted me to track down Royce Tullis and his crew.
Well then,
Well,
I guess this is goodbye.
Jane is the saloon prostitute. I mean, there's many other ones, but she's one of them. And Carson is one of her clients, and he comes back and confides in her a lot. And she's kind of there for him. She's sort of like the listener. I don't think he has that in his life, and she's there for that. So I feel like as these women, as their jobs, they sort of were listeners for these men, and that was part of their job, as much as maybe they didn't want to listen or not, but I think that was part of it as well. So
that sounds worse, but purely a case of ignorance on his part.
Westerns are unique in the sense that, you know, they are Americana, and we all grew up wanting to be cowboys. And I don't care how old you are or how young you are, there's an appeal to that. It's the American spirit.
For me, it was like a master class for an actor who's always looking for advice and new ways to hone your craft. To get to sit next to somebody like Barry Corbin.
would that I could absolve you myself, but alas, only God can judge whether your confession warrants forgiveness.
Hell, I'm just a bounty-chasing road dog myself. But I tell you, in 100 years, only a time or two has hell spit out a man such as this.
Lance walks up and he says, "Oh, that jacket is so cool. Oh gosh, can I wear it now?" Sure. So I pulled it off. I totally forgot they were killing him that night. Now it's ruined.
It's a lot of blood. I don't think anyone makes it out. When you're having this much fun working, it's going to show in the finished product.
You want to back out a little bit more? Let him find a really clear scene.
Literally, just have him run off that way. We're jacking.
For the Western fan, I've found that a lot of independent films are really where it's at, and a lot of really, really good ones have been made that have nothing to do with big Hollywood productions, and there's more truth in a lot of those than I have actually seen in big Hollywood productions at all.
Western is part of who we are. It's part of our history, you know. It's part of who we are, and that's where we came from. That's where we want to focus on more. It's just the history of the Western movies too.
I love the American Southwest, especially Arizona, this region, just because it's so fresh within the full spectrum of American history. I love American history, probably more than any other particular focus.
I'm Tori Osborne, and I played Emma in Eminence Hill. She's got a very small part, but she's gonna catch your attention. I've heard a lot about people loving Westerns, and I think they're really making a comeback.
I grew up watching Westerns with my dad, so that drew my attention in reading the script, and then of course working with Robert.
Not very many people put their heart and soul into things, and Robert so sincerely wants us to be the best it can be.
We started our career together. In fact, our very first film that I ever produced was a Western with Robert Conway. So it just kind of naturally was like, all right, well, if you need help, let's do this. And then the second thing that drew me to it was when he sent me the script, and I read it, and I thought, this isn't just some ordinary Western. This is actually very unique and very special.
The storytelling is the most important part, and I think we've lost a lot of that in Hollywood, and that's what I believe independent filmmakers are really trying to do today.
We'll get it in two. Mike's got most of the lines, but he's got a lot of reactions. We'll take it all the way up to when the conflict starts. and then we'll make it work from there.
I got the script from a friend in the middle of the night, and I read it in the middle of the night. And then I thought that I was going to leave a nice message in the middle of the night that was like, wow. And it was even later in the night because I think the version of the script that I first read was 134 pages, so it was a commitment. And then when I called Robert on the phone, he picked up, and so we proceeded to have like over an hour-long conversation just about, about the role and about, different ideas that we had and interpretations, and then about, life and art and politics and experiences. And I was just really, really excited to work with someone who was just so creative and would actually give guidance and had thought through the different ways that the characters respond to each other, and was just, very collaborative in terms of having a blueprint that was very precious to him, but also just being able to feel free to explore just different avenues of expression for the characters. Everyone involved with this project really gave it their heart and their soul and their blood and sweat and tears. There's nobody phoning it in. Everyone's working at the top of their game and dealing with limitations that bigger movies don't have to, and dealing with those challenges and succeeding. It's really kind of a miracle.
People that have inspired me my entire life, Clint Eastwood, Sergio Leone, Sam Peckinpah, the gritty kind of spit and dirt Western that just I grew up loving, and we want to kind of bring that back in a way that we can all be proud of.